Welcome back, future product designers, to this beginner's course on how to use Autodesk Fusion 360. My name is Avya Jamadagni, and today we will be looking at rendering. So, what is a render? A render is basically a high-quality image of your product, displayed in a certain manner. Basically, you're taking your CAD model like this, and you're just putting it in a different area or a different space, and you're basically taking a picture of it. So it's virtual, and it actually makes it look like it makes your product look as it will be when you actually manufacture it. And it's really good for seeing how your product will look, and this can give you feedback as to how you can improve your product's visual aesthetics. Now, to navigate to the render workspace, let's go to design up here, and let's change our workspace to render. As soon as we do this, we see a rendering gallery over here, which will display all our renders when we render it, and you see our product. Now, you automatically see that all those visible edges or those lines we had have disappeared, and you see this nice shaded effect. Let's go ahead and hide the sketches, and now you can see that we have a shadow as well, showing some type of realistic render, a realistic view of our product. So, there are different things we can do now. First, let's talk about changing the appearance. So, when we change appearance, what that basically means is we're taking our product and changing the way it looks. Now, to navigate to this appearance area, we can either click this over here or just hit A on our keyboard. And when we do that, we get the appearance library. So, what we do now is we navigate through this library over here, and we can choose a material we want this to look like. For example, if we navigate to metal and say go to brass, we can drag and drop this brass polished on this, and it gives us that look. Now, but we don't want that. This is just a simple pencil stand. So let's go and let's navigate to the wood solid folder. Let's click on stained, and let's select 3D Ash Stained Dark Semigloss. And that's how this will look. So, obviously, it's not going to look exactly like this, and right now it's not looking very appealing either. So what we can do is we can go to the top over here, and let's right-click on this, and let's click Edit. So, as you can see, all the colors are over here, and we can manipulate these like so to get a better tone. Now, you can manipulate these as you wish. I'm going to take this manual late wood color and move it slightly to the yellowish area, and hit enter on your keyboard. If that doesn't work, try closing it directly, and that'll work. So, now to render, there are two ways we can do this. First, let's talk about scene settings. So let's click on this one up here, this tiny desk lamp. And there are two options for our background. One, we could use solid color, which is just this gray, or we can edit that. Or we could also use an environment. Now, an environment helps us put our object into perspective. It helps us keep our object in an area which actually seems like it's going to be there one day in the real world. So there are different places or different environments you have here. Now, field gives you like a proper field, and these are just some photo booth or some studio type of environments. I'm going to go ahead and put sharp highlights. I'm just going to drag it out and just leave it in the background. And now that environment is being placed. So let's click close. And now all we can do is render. We can either press click in canvas render, and that'll form some type of real image before we can actually properly render it, so we know how it's going to look. I'm not going to do that for now. I'm just going to directly go and hit render. So let's just click on that. And now this menu opens up, so you can select your width, your height, and all your aspect ratios and everything over here, and you have different modes as well. Um, you can either render with use a cloud render, or you could use a local render. Local render doesn't require any cloud credits, and can be done offline. And there's standard and final available with both. So go ahead and press. So a cloud render requires a credit, and this depends on what your width and height are, and what aspect ratio you're using, and also how many megapixels it's going to be. So let's go ahead and press local render, final, and just click render. Now when local rendering starts, you would see this type of thing open over here. It's basically it basically shows how much time is left before you can view the image. So I'm gonna go ahead and stop the video for now, and I'm gonna show. And once this image is completely loaded, I'm gonna show you how it's gonna look. Thank you. Okay, so now this render has completed, and as you can see, it kind of looks like this. Let's go ahead and click on this to expand it. And as you can see, this is how it's looking now. So you can see that it's much more realistic, and although the clarity is a little low, that can be fixed if you're changing the format of the picture, or if you're actually doing a cloud render. So that's good enough for now. So what you can do is you can just simply download this, and once you download it, if you're using, especially if you're using a cloud render, you have the option of changing the file format. Now it's just PNG, but if you're using a cloud render, you can also change it to JPEG, um, T, I think it's TIFF as well. You could also have a transparent background. So that's it for this lesson. Let's go ahead and close this, and let's also save our file. Thank you for listening to this lesson. The next one will be about 3D printing and how to export our file to STL. Thank you.